Well, they are, we're difficult.
Yeah.
So welcome everyone to our public meeting on October 8th. We'd like to start by acknowledging traditional territories that lead the continents, as well as our Métis community. Wanted to take a moment to mention was in a good way, as we saw our students out before and after September 30th, recognizing from church that every child matters. That was good to see that in our community as we move forward. We're also going to have a special event later on this evening honoring someone too publicly. So get a motion to approve the agenda. Moved by trustee Hoisington, seconded by trustee Chenoweth. One opposed, carried. Minutes of the open meeting held September 10th. Motion to receive. Seconded by trustee Kent Laidlaw. Anyone opposed? Carried. Any business arising from the minutes? You also have the report of the closed meetings from September 10th, 2025 for your information. And now I think I'm turning this floor over to Angela. Is that correct for this ceremony? I'm not sure. Just one. Oh. If not, we'll delay.
Just carry over this.
Why don't we go to enrollment update and then we can come back?
Sure. So I gave you numbers in your package. So what happens with 1701 or enrollment is that we capture it on September 29th because the 30th is Truth and Reconciliation Day. And then we spend the next week, and when I say we, it's my wonderful executive assistant Simone who goes through it with a fine-tooth comb. So we've had a little bit of shift in our numbers since the board package went out on Friday. So instead of being at 803, we're actually at 1799. We're still 13 above our original projection. But the concerning piece is we have a net loss of 49 students from one year to the next. So in terms of budget, we're in a better place than we were last year because we had an unexpected drop. But the overall trend for our enrollment is concerning.
Just reminder on our projections, we had projected that we were going to be down.
1786, so that was down about 50 students. So we're just about right on with our projections.
So
We
good.
can speak to the inclusive ed. Are we ready?
Yeah, we're ready.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, thank you for the minute delay there. I just wanted to start by saying that we're here to acknowledge the retirement of our wonderful Jane Hampston. And Jane, can you tell me how many years you've worked for the district? 33. 33. And I've invited some special guests to come and help us honor you today.
Good to see everybody. Shelley Oppenheim listener. And I was invited by Angela and Courtney to come in on behalf of the board. This is such a privilege to be here this evening to honor Jane. And before we get started, I just wanted to say a few words. Coming into the district in 2010, Jane and I started our work together, and I cannot say enough about Jane. She taught me so much, and she stood by my side and supported me so many times. We worked together and learned together. there was so much, work that important work and connecting with, the school district, with the students, the parents, and our communities and the staff, of course. We have so many teams with the work that we've done, and she was always there with her knowledge and her skills and her experience. But what I would really like to say is that people can carry that, their knowledge and their skills. However, with Jane, I knew and I connected with her because she brought her full heart into the work. When she did it, you could feel it, know that, which is really important because she cared for our community. She cared for our students and our staff. And so that's been huge. And in our journey, I'll add myself, so is that when I mentioned the learning, like there was so much work, there's so much work that we do and need to continue to do with truth and reconciliation. So Jane's heart and her mind was open to learning about the culture, to dive right in and wanting to know. She was asking questions, and in doing the work, she would bring that to the forefront. When we're doing our planning and organizing, how do we integrate or implement that in the work we're doing? And I watched Jane through that process, and it really touched my heart. And I truly, there's so much, like I said, I could say, and many of you, but we wanted to take this opportunity today to provide a little ceremony to honor Jane for all the great work you've done, Jane. It's just, you've touched so many people in the work that you've done. And in doing that, we have Dawn Williams here. She's our advocate with the school district. We're really happy to have Dawn join us. And what we do is we're going to do a brushing where we will take away anything that you carry so that you don't bring it into the next steps in your journey. And we have Paul here. Once we've wrapped you, he will do an honor song. So, Dawn, maybe you can do that. So when Dawn is brushing Jane up, when we wrap Jane, we're wrapping her with love and protection. So that if she takes her next steps, that she will be clear and she'll have a clear road that she will be going. So clearing it. Yes, so we will. And come around. Give it love and protection.
oh, oh, I. Oh, hi, oh, oh, hi, oh, hi, 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 oh, hi, 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 oh, hi, oh, hi, 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 oh, hi, oh, oh, hi, oh, hi, 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 oh, hi, 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 oh, hi, oh, hi, oh, hi, hi, hi. Oh, hi, oh, oh, hi, oh, hi, 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 oh, hi, 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 oh, hi, oh, hi, hi, hi. Oh, hare, oh, hare, oh, hare, 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 oh, hare, hare, oh, oh, hare, hare.
Turning well.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Shelley.
Thank you, Shelley.
I would speak. Right? It's interesting, people have been asking me, so how is it? So how is it being retired? How is it being retired? I think I've been retired for 4 days. And I feel like I've kind of been floating, just this funny feeling of sort of not really knowing where you are. And as Dawn came up to me and said, I'm gonna clear your path, I thought maybe that's what everybody, maybe that's why I felt like I was floating. So I'm so touched by this gesture and by everyone who's here tonight to support this. And all I would say is that it was 32 years that feels in many ways like it was a minute. And that we are so lucky. We are so lucky to get to work with kids. And don't forget that, because it's noisy right now. It's really noisy. But we are so lucky, you are so lucky, and enjoy every minute of it, because it feels like a minute. And yeah, we're just so lucky. I have a little grandson who, like a few little grand people now, but this one particular little boy who my husband watched go to school one day last year. And my husband did not like school when his little boy. It was very difficult for him. He was a grade 1 kid who went in the front door, got dropped off by his mom, and went straight out the back door into the forest and just showed up at home around lunchtime for a long time. And my husband watched Jameson running to school, skipping across the front yard, running down the sidewalk with his arms wide open like he was flying in an airplane. And my husband said, I've never, to imagine a little child feeling like that going to school was just amazing for him. And I hope you all get to feel like that. I realize you're not going to come here with your you know, with your airplane wings, but that's how you should feel when you get to go to work too, right? Like you're so lucky. So it has been a pleasure and it's wonderful work and it's about the kids. So thank you. Thank you, Sharon.
Well, get on it. Thank you, Paul. Thanks, Paul. You're welcome. Thanks, Paul.
And Jane, just on behalf of the board, thank you for the 30+ years that you've dedicated to students and fearlessly here. I can often remember, I'd hear you talking to someone else in the building going, and I'm gonna tell you why you're wrong. And that was good because it was coming from the heart, because you always had, especially with our kids with diverse learning needs. So we're trying to find some way to honor you appropriately, and
Yeah. I
felt
feel
this
very-
would be the way to.
I'm very, very deeply touched. Okay.
You can stay if you like.
But as we say at other meetings, it's nothing else you need to do tonight.
There, perfect.
Thank you.
That's all. Thank you.
There is a Canadians game tonight. Thanks, Jane. I think we're going to
Perfect segue.
Indigenous education update, Angela.
She was hoping.
Yeah, right.
Hi, everybody. September's been really exciting. My first September, lots of firsts for me, but it's been great. I feel way more confident than I did probably the last time I was in here, but it's been a full month of IEC reports for the ministry, LEA completion reports, BCTE transportation fund documents. So lots of paperwork type of things that had to be done, but also September was also filled with some really exciting things in the school, as you all know. The Truth and Reconciliation Orange Shirt Day is alive and well in all of our schools, and it's so exciting to see the great work that this district does on those occasions. You know, the planning that goes into resources for teachers, organizing the great community events and the walks, right down to handing out orange teachers for students and staff, and providing information leading up to the event. But it's also part of our work to ensure that this work is happening every day, not just on that day, but it is really a great day to see in the schools. A little sadder note in our community, I think you're all aware that our community's faced a lot of losses, including the passing of Charlene McCrae, who served as the education coordinator for Upper Nicolabana for the last 25 years. Her dedication to students was impactful with School District 58 Nicholas Milkameen, and is really deeply appreciated. And she will be truly missed. I just wanted to mention that today. I've been doing some work ensuring that the IEC has contributed to what our staff is doing for professional development. So I've been in communication with the schools and finding out what their plans are and ensuring that those plans are approved and understood by the IEC. So I feel like that's really good work in ensuring that our staff's moving in a good direction. I think you've all seen our new website. It looks wonderful. Cassie worked so hard. And Cassie's been helping me a lot because there's also an Indigenous education portion there, which I hope students and families are going to find the information they need and find it a useful tool. So that's an exciting piece. And I think the last thing I'm going to mention, so exciting, we've signed our local education agreement. Coldwater's is passed. We're just waiting for the signed document, but it's ready to go. We've got one signed with Laura Nicola Indian Band, Coldwater Indian Band, like I said. Nuwayat and Shakin Indian Band have signed a joint agreement. Upper Milkameen, which was their very first local education agreement with their district, was so exciting, which we got to share at our welcome dinner last night. which was such a wonderful event. The student advocates, I'm always in awe at the events that they plan and provide to communities and our schools. They really, really put their heart and soul and do a fabulous job. And I think I don't know if I mentioned Upper Nicola also has a signed local education agreement. In the past, we've had one local education agreement and now we have 5. And it's really interesting reading the education agreements because there are really some specific information in each document to each local nation, which I think is a really great thing because it's showing what their nations want to need. So it's our work as a district and we are working really hard to ensure that admin teachers, ISAs, EAs, that we are all learning what's in these local education agreements. They're not just sitting on desks or covers anymore. They're going to be working documents, and that's going to be one of our goals this year to ensure that that's happening. Thank you.
Thank you.
Angela, last night at that event was really excellent. The video that you showed about the LEAs was so fantastic. To the point and clear and concise, and yeah, it's excellent.
Thanks,
It should be nice. I don't know, is it on the web, on our webpage, but
You know what? We could probably post it to our website.
Besides the fact that they didn't pronounce the
Yeah.
muffin seal correctly,
maybe we can get in there and have somebody over that one little part.
to see if that's
But
mistaken.
yeah, it was a really wonderful night. And the drumming with all the little kids and the shakers, it was just, it was
It
great.
was a great event.
Sure.
Any other questions for Angela on the report? So good to see your first month of the new school year under your feet. And as you mentioned, we did lose some large pillars this year as we move forward. I know a few of us were up at Upper Nicola for the memorial as well, so. Thank you. I believe next is inclusive education, early learning and childcare update.
So I can speak to that. 1701 is the buzz phrase for September. So we do enrollment, and Adrienne's role is to ensure that we have all of the correct designations in place, the paperwork that goes with it, and making sure that we have the right supports in the right school. She's taken very well to her position. She's been frequently out to schools, observing firsthand. And the other thing that I would highlight is we were able to staff our second ELL position. You have to have special training for that position. And we have quite a low ratio for ELL students to teacher. It's 1 to 17. But our ELL teachers also have other duties as assigned. And right now they're supporting some time in the classroom to free up classroom teachers to do assessments, which is one of the struggles that our staff have noted in the past. But we have 2 great people in the roles, and we're just really thankful for their flexibility and their talents.
Awesome. Questions for the superintendent? One I have, and I'm not sure, I think we're coming due just because we haven't seen the wonderful auditors from the ministry in a few years, either probably Indigenous or inclusive.
We suspect that we'll get an audit for one of them because it'll just be our time in the cycle for our region. Angela's working very hard with our ISAs to make sure that we have our entries in at Insights, where we track our individual meetings with students. And Misty and Adrienne, Misty really started a good program last year where we did case reviews. We would randomly pull files and we're able to highlight, if some pieces were missing. So we feel like we're in a good place if an audit comes. We haven't received notification from the ministry, but it's just, I think we're just coming around to our turn in the cycle.
We'll be busy.
That is Simone's hope, so.
It's like CRA, eventually your time comes.
Yes.
As I recall, I mean, our last audit, I think we were so like it was like only two cases or something that were very minor things in them, so.
We feel confident with our processes. We've, you know, since your last round of auditing, you always learn things from every audit that goes through. We really understand that you need to have your paperwork in place. Especially when you're putting those designations, you know, it all has to line up and the file needs to be complete. We want them complete anyways, because when they're transferring from one school to another, we don't want there to be gaps, or, you know, if they leave us and transfer to a different school, we want that school to really understand like what that child needs.
It's great.
And Misty, you're going to be bringing forward the Colletville, Quebec trip approval.
Yeah, so I think this is a long-standing tradition in Nicholas and Okameen. And this year they have put forth a really complete proposal. Total of 15 Colletville students, 13 from grade 7 and 2 from grade 6 will have the opportunity to go to Quebec and experience the cultural offerings and adventure this trip has to offer. I'm really excited to be able to put it forward to the board for approval.
John,
I'll move.
and a seconder, trustee Heisington.
Be one.
Discussion on we've traditionally done it. It's great to see it there. And
Busy 5 days.
yeah,
Oh, yeah,
Like
they're
the
packed.
itinerary.
Yeah.
they're not looking for a trustee to go with.
No, I mean.
Anyone opposed? It is carried, so.
That's great.
Thank you.
Yeah, Mr. Sandbrook and the parents know it's a go.
You'll be thrilled.
Very cool. Nice.
This is my favorite time of board meeting, which I get to highlight the wonderful things going on in our schools. And like Angela alluded to, Board Shirt Day and Truth and Reconciliation is alive and well in our schools. And one of the things we've been really trying to do is include our Skies kids, you know, because it's not the same opportunity. So this is a picture from the Rink Hockey Academy in Kelowna, Corey Hart and his students. So it's nice to see, even when you're not physically present in Merritt or Princeton, the spirit of what we're trying to do in our district goes ahead. And nice picture of staff at Skies. You know, if we want this way forward, we have to model it. So Skies has been very busy over the summer and into September. We have our enrollment looks like it's going to be up again there, but you know, Dan is making a real difference over the last year and the start of this year as we move forward. Nicola Canford, if you've been out to Nicola Canford, Bert is very excited about his smoker that he got and his food dryer. He's actually created a healthy snacks program based on traditional Indigenous fruit and meat and other pieces. And when we're looking at our student learning survey, it's telling us that about 25% of our kids are regularly going without food. So school is where kids are getting fed on a regular basis. But Nicola Canford, I would say, is always on the cutting edge of, you know what are ways that we can indigenize this? And it's a really neat program. He's happy to show you if you go out there. And I've never seen anyone so happy about a smoker as Bert. He's told me about it 3 or 4 times at this point. They're actually doing their welcome dinner tonight, which is typically a huge success in Nicola Canford. So just credit to the staff and families that come out to do that. And then Diamondville, I try to pick something different for each school. Mrs. Foster's grade 5-6 class paired up with a class from Colletville, which we love to see when our schools collaborate. And they did an educational day learning about plants and picking tea. So we love land-based learning and hands-on. And we're really trying to do more partnerships between our own schools as well as our band schools that are by our schools.
Excellent.
Yeah, and that's a total credit to our admin and our teachers. You know, they're making it it happen.
Yeah.
Terry Fox Run has been happening at all of our schools. But a big shout out to Merit Bench. They raised $550 for cancer research. That is a school and a school community that is very supportive of charitable causes. Natasha does a great job. We've gotten to the point that we have to cut down all the wonderful things that we share that goes on at Central. But the one I wanted to highlight is Martha, our ISA at Central. She's actually Charlene's sister, but she made sure that she was there to support the kids with the activities for Truth and Reconciliation Day. And I actually had a chance to speak to her today, and I let her know that when she is not there, she is missed. She's a presence and a force in that school. And she's one of the things that our parents and our students point to about what makes Central as wonderful as it is. So just a real credit to her for her passion and her dedication. The other thing I'll highlight is we've been able to add both Indigenous languages at Central. So we have both in Sheen and in Silkshin programs running there right now, which we're very excited about. And you can see there's a ton more wonderful things that are going on at Central there. CLC, and a big credit out to Mrs. Cuzio. She is doing wonderful things with her students. For Truth and Reconciliation Days, they wrote I Matter poems. And one of the other things that we're excited about is Nepekno Joe has joined our CLC team as the ISA. And she's fitting in wonderfully there. And as another layer of support for our students. If you get a chance, visit CLC. There's good things going on in our alternate programs every day. Or if you're in Princeton visiting the bridge, Andy and Leanna there, it's such a welcoming environment. Our alternate programs live and die by our staff in those programs, and we're very lucky to have the people that we do. Collettville, Mrs. Bertolet and Mr. Sandbrook are joining forces to do a student leadership council, trying to get more student voice coming forward. I give a lot of credit to both of them. They consistently step up and do extracurricular in their school to provide their kids with great opportunities and really building some resiliency and helping us from a district and a board perspective of understanding what the students are interested in and how we can support their educational journey. So lots of really great things going on there as well. Merit Secondary, we've had a great start to the year. The one I was going to highlight is several of our classes walked to Rotary Park to take part in the Youth Resiliency Conference. If you haven't heard about this, it was honestly a great conference that was organized here in town. There were tons of corporate sponsors and speakers. The kids raved about it when they came back. So just thank you to the companies and the organizers. It turned out to be a lovely day for the kids. JA, if you haven't been to JA and if you haven't been there at recess or lunch, you can hear them the moment you open your car door, and it's the sound of joy. I was there at recess the other day, and you know what? They're just happy living their lives. Sometimes I think if we could go back to K-3, we'd all be living our best lives. But one of the things that they do best there is a lot of hands-on learning and working on making sure that our kids are engaged. So there's always something fun and exciting going on at JA. At PSS, the one I was going to highlight is their visual arts class made a collaborative board filled with paper cuttings of their favorite characters. You know what? Sometimes our high schools are, not as decorated or as colorful as our elementary, but the quality of this is amazing. But also just, bringing life and personality to your building. And we have a very strong art program going on at PSS right now. Large credit to Mrs. Vengetti. We actually have a second art teacher there this year as well. So lots of great things going on there. Vermilion Forks, Mrs. Kunderman did an archaeological dig which I thought was one of the cutest things ever. So they were unearthing history in their backyard, artifacts, digging into the past. So, making that kind of abstract concept come alive. Our teachers are doing some really neat things in their classrooms. So there's lots of other wonderful things going on, but you know what? We've been in school a month, and these are all the things that we can already highlight. And this is a tip of the iceberg, what goes on in our schools each day. So just a credit to our admin and our staff.
Huge shout out. We'll be getting this sent out as a PDF
Yes.
test. Great. Good to see everything that's happening across all the schools, just in a short period of time, 1 month into the new year. So that's great to see.
Should introduce their trustees. Student trustee. We should introduce.
Yeah. We were remiss in not introducing our student trustees.
Yeah, speech.
We're unique in the province, for those who are listening, about one of, I think, 6 districts in the province that have student trustees, and we have students in both the Merritt and Princeton end of the district, so welcome, and
Can I step in
Yes.
and
Please.
so it's very lovely to have Shani Sterling joining us today. When I was on the lookout for a student trustee because one has left us and graduated, I reached out to Mr. Anderson and Mr. Cohen, and one name was instantly brought forward to be considered. They said, this is who we want. This is who we think would be a really great addition to the board meetings. And we're gonna see if she's gonna be interested. And I said, please do. And I don't know that you took a lot of convincing, Shani. Was it a lot of convincing?
They walked in randomly. So I don't know, like they just walked in, asked, and I knew it, but I don't know, there's just something, but I'm glad I'm here.
Great.
Very glad to have you
Happy
here too. Thank you.
And they
feel perfectly open in any of the discussion if you think us adults are getting way off base and it's not reflecting what student concerns are, to let us have both barrels and correct us.
Do they get the iPad?
That's on the way. So there was a little bit of choices that need to be had, so which was really nice. And Shani made a very informed decision and it should be here right.
Great.
Yeah.
I know.
Well, welcome to the table.
Oh, my question.
Oh, do we want to do that now or do we wait?
Wait.
We normally do it at the end, but if you feel more comfortable doing it now, go ahead.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, I always wanted to be an important part of this community, and I'm so glad I'm actually here right now, because like people have to raise their voices, but not everybody does. So then I'm so grateful that I'm the one here today, you know?
Fantastic. Well spoken.
Yeah, very good.
It's great to have you here. We are, I think, at the district website launch.
Yes. So we owe a debt of gratitude to Cassie, our executive assistant to the secretary treasurer and HR. She has spent countless hours putting together our new website. We've had a ton of positive feedback. Just even using it as a staff member or a member of the community, it's so much easier to find information. And it's easier to update. So this will help us to make sure that our information is current on our website. And Cassie's very responsive to tweaking and adding and removing any of the things that we need. So just thank you so much for that. The next step in our website process is getting our school sites up and running. That will pretty much be a mirror image of our district site, but with the colors of each school. As part of our admin meeting next week, we're actually going to take the afternoon and we're going to use it as a collaborative work session so that our principals can work together and get expertise from Cassie. So we're hoping those will launch shortly as well.
Well done.
Great to see how clean it looks compared to the site we came from. So
The logo looks so good.
You noticed too, when you walked in, the logo on the.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
so
thought this looks great.
Well, you also have in your package the school closure process meeting dates. We had promised the community we'd have them out for our October meeting. And so you have those in front of you.
So I'll speak a little bit to the school closure process. So our meetings will start on October 20th. We're starting with Merritt Central. And then the following week, we have Collettville. We are still trying to confirm times with Lower Nicola Indian Band and New Edge and Shakin. But we have confirmed dates with Upper Nicola and Coldwater, and we're going out to the communities to hold these meetings. The format, because we're looking at a school closure process, but we're also looking at rebuilding our strategic plan because our current one comes to an end at this year. And really it makes sense to, combine because we will have access to our parents and our students. And a lot of what we will talk about in our potential school closure process is what programs do we have? What are the needs of our students? How do we best facilitate those needs? And it gives us an opportunity to have in-depth discussion with our stakeholders and our rights holders, as well as our parents and our students. What it will look like is there will be a presentation around basically the state of the district. So where we are fiscally in terms of facilities as well as academics. And then we will have facilitated table group discussions. Not everyone is comfortable speaking in front of a large group. So the idea is that we'll be able to hear more voices around a table. And we hope to have a trustee or senior staff around the table. And then we will have a debrief or reporting out from each table. We'll take notes from each session. And as we go, we'll refine our documents that go up on our website. What we would encourage our parents to do, if hopefully the date that we're going to their schools will work for them. If it doesn't, they're welcome to attend a meeting at another school if there's a date that works better for them. It's a pretty general presentation. There will be some pieces tailored to that specific school, but if this one particular date and time doesn't work for you, there's lots of opportunities to come forward. This is our first round of dates. We tentatively plan to finish on December 3rd. We'll collate the data, and then we're going to go out for a second round between January and February. And once we have that data to the board, we think that the board should be able to make a decision in March. So that gives us lots of time to plan whatever the outcome is. And why we're looking at March is budget is typically April. So when we go into our budget, we want to know what our maintenance costs are going to be, what our staffing costs are going to be, so that we have a really clear idea before we go forward. And for you as a board to understand when you pass your preliminary budget, have we put the resources in the right places?
Excellent.
We'll also be going out to all of you as trustees, all these dates in your calendar, so we can get a sense of who's going to be available and who's not, because I know for different dates, some of us are either out of the country or have other commitments. So just making sure that we've got trustee presence at each of the meetings as much as we can as well. The next is the very exciting bylaw modification on covenant.
Hey, thank you. Hopefully you've read it with deep interest. So I'm bringing to the board asking for a bylaw because this has to do with land, and according to the School Act, board is required to pass a bylaw in order for the district to move forward with any changes or modifications to assets that it owns in terms of land. So what we have is a building site down in Princeton. It's actually rented or leased out to the skills center owned by the district, as well as an adjacent parking lot. And then there's a third lot in and around that area, call it lot 3, that a developer owns and would like to develop into condos. And in order to get access to that lot and develop it to make it useful for the tenants and waste management, we need to modify the covenant we have with the city for the number of parking stalls so that both property owners can be satisfied. So in talking with the manager of the skills center and with the developer, we've come to an agreement to modify the parking lot to 16 spaces each, and we'll put, once this bylaw is passed, we can bring this forward to the city to get the covenant changed. So requesting that, first of all, that we do all 3 readings tonight if the board feels comfortable. Yeah, and then if they are, then go through the 3 readings.
So I'm going to look for a motion for
So,
first and second reading of Board of Education of School District 58, Nicholas and Milkameen, 162 Tappan Avenue, Princeton, BC, modification of covenant bylaw 2025-26 MCSD58-01 for first and second reading. Could I get a mover and seconder?
I'll move it.
Anyone opposed to the modification? Okay, and to go to, first need a motion to go to third and final reading, which would have to be unanimous.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Okay, so you said that 16 parking spots for each one, but in here it says 26 for one and 20 for the other.
So that was the original language, and that's how you have to write it in the bylaw. Further down, it speaks to the modification to 16 and 16.
Oh,
Yeah, I know, it's quite comprehensive.
wait,
So. That we go to third reading.
Third and final reading. And a seconder. Seconded by Kent Laidlaw. Is anyone opposed? Seeing none, we will go to third and final reading of the bylaw that I mentioned previously.
I'll move it.
Seconded by trustee Quasington. Anyone opposed? The motion is carried. Good work. Thank you for the work on that.
Nice to get that, yeah. Right.
I will need a copy of that to sign too, if I can. Yeah,
They do. Yeah.
that tonight, it'll save me because I'm gonna be out of town part of tomorrow. I'll just get it before, just tackle me before we leave the meeting.
Yeah.
Policies for approval. We have second reading of 3.42, selection of learning resources.
So we talked about this at our September board meeting where we did our first reading. We actually should have had a policy since 2017, so the ministry has brought it forward just to make sure that all school districts have this. So this is to comply with the directive from the ministry. But in general, it's just a good idea to have a policy, and then we have admin procedures around how do we select resources? If there's materials to be challenged, what is the process for that? You know, it's better to have the information out there than, you know, find yourself in that situation and not have the path forward be clear. So we didn't get any feedback about changes. We didn't get any from our policy committee when we first brought it together. So if the board feels comfortable, I think it's ready to go for second reading. And then our last one for third reading is disposal of land improvements. There's been no amendments since the second and third reading. This is one that we had feedback from Harris and company, and then we also worked with our policy committee around it. This will help us meet the requirements of the School Act, and because we do have some land to dispose of, it's better if we have the policy passed before we continue to move forward in that process.
I'll first take a motion on 3.42, selection of learning resources. Moved by Kent Laidlaw, seconded by trustee Hoisington for first reading. And so this will now, anyone opposed? It will now go out for second reading. Normally our first reading isn't any discussion, it's just to get it so we can get it out to the.
Third reading.
This was second reading.
But it's going on.
Third reading is for 6.5.1. Okay, so this was just second reading. Third and final reading for 6.51 disposal of land and improvements. I take it by your eagerness,
Yes.
trustee Rayner, you'd like to move this
I'll
one?
move that.
Okay,
Waiting.
see that. And trustee Jepson is seconding. Any further discussion on 6.51? Anyone opposed? It is carried as well. Thank you. We have no policies for appeal.
And then there's two just admin procedures in there for your information. So Barb and I are slowly making our way through it. Administration of medication was one that the principals felt they needed sooner rather than later, so we put it together. And we didn't previously have a anaphylaxis admin procedure, so we just from a liability point of view, but also from a student safety point of view, more importantly, what do we do in that situation and who's responsible for making sure that we're all aware and know what to do if that situation arises?
So these would be two good ones to bring up at your PAC meeting, so they're aware that they are in district administrative procedures. Yeah. Now we're moving to trustee reports.
Yes, I'm up. They're up.
Well,
yes.
unless you come back to school.
No. So actually, that's interesting that you say that because the first question that I proposed to the student trustees, and I made it very clear Mr. Cohen was going to hunt you down to find you to ask you what you might speak about tonight. To make sure that we got your input too, because we know the data shows that the student voice is really, really important. So we want to make sure that you feel comfortable sharing what you think is important to you as well. And hopefully this being in school for a month, I wouldn't mind if you spoke to a little bit about the start of your school year, how you felt that's gone. As a grade 11 student, thinking ahead to next year being a grade 12, being a very big year. And Jacob, this is your second year as a trustee. Welcome back. And as a graduating student this year, what are your personal goals for yourself? And if you wouldn't mind speaking a little bit to in that sort of vein, what builds an authentic school community in your experience? You guys are both kind of been in high school for a while and you know what kind of does work and what doesn't work and what feels good and maybe doesn't, needs a little bit of work. So if you're able and willing to speak to that a little bit, that would be lovely. And I don't mind whoever feels comfortable to go first.
So coming up with this month, I like credits and stuff. I was worrying about that, and I was checking my ad every couple of days to see my schedules and stuff because like this is like a small kickstart to my life, and it's I like it. It was scary. It was so scary thinking about it. Every couple of classes, I'd be like, whoa, okay, these are my last couple of classes with these people. And for I need to feel comforted by like the teachers and stuff to feel like I'm allowed to grow with the school and with my own self. Because like this is especially with elementary stuff, you have to, because really only children are really comfortable with their parents, right? So then we got to learn, we got to help them like understand that even if you don't know the person, that they'll be there for you, especially in schools.
Well, that,
Thank you.
For my first month, it was pretty smooth. It was a lot better than most of the other years that I've been here. They opened school up for schedule changes early, and it made everything like 100 times better. It wasn't kids like coming to school before it wasn't sure like who to turn to like help them. It was a lot smoother because of that. And yeah, and with my graduation plans, I'm very excited for all the things like I get to be a part of now that I'm in grade 12. One of my goals is to help out where I can with all the fundraising stuff, like the haunted house. I really want to be as available as I can for all that, because I mean, goes towards my prom and all that kind of stuff. It's important to me. I'm also trying my hardest to set myself up for future careers. I really don't want to leave any windows closed. So especially with the week before school, being able to go in and change my schedule, that helped me a lot. Figure out what I wanted to do. And in my experience, in the community, it has one important factor. It's the teacher-student connections. The teachers at MSS are really good at giving students what they need to succeed. Like if you want to pass a class, they'll help you. If you try, you will pass, basically. It's been really well all the way through high school. I feel like I've been supported and welcomed into anywhere I go. Yeah, that's about it.
Thank you both for sharing your first month and a little bit of your insight. What stuck out for me is the fact that Shani, that you were checking your MyEd schedule and that you can get in there and do that. You're setting yourself up for success and you going in early to do your scheduling and having that opportunity. So well done, both of you. And what I heard from both of you is the importance between the teacher and the student connections, helping you feel like you belong. So thank you very much for sharing your today, and if there's any questions for the trustees, I'll open it up. Or comments?
Maybe just a question for the district. Do the students get the technology? Did they get do we have something?
Absolutely, so
Coming.
yes, it is coming, it has been ordered. There was a bit of a deciding on which would be the best laptop or iPad, then it was iPad and the iPad, which one, so it's been made, it's on its way.
I had a question. How being seniors, how does this grade eights of this year seem to be?
I can see like why all the other grade 12s would get mad. In the way. Was crowd in the ways.
Yeah. Now, there's lots of advice there that transition from elementary school to grade 8 and even being leaders yourselves to guide and communicate to those young people. It's good. I have one of those grade 8s, that's why I was asking.
Me too.
Jeez. Having you as grade 12s being able to be those mentors, because I think this is either the first or second year where we've gotten back into where it's probably in your grade 8 year, we were just coming out of the floods, or that was the year before. So, and that was a piece that we were always missing, is we didn't have that mentorship from the grade 12s because between fires and floods, we lost it for a few years. So it's great to see that back in place and in our district. So
Thank you very much. Yeah, thanks for stepping up. Yeah.
and this will segue us to trustee reports, and I'll start with trustee Chenoweth.
Sure, so Gordon, you attended Brittany, you attended as well, Colville, for my behalf, so maybe you could do that. I did get the minutes if you want me to review them, but I think I'll let you do it. Skides attended that meeting last week. Of course, it's a virtual meeting because the parents come from all over the province. And I've said this over and over again, but it takes a special group of parents to advocate for children from afar, and they're advocating for kids from all over the province, and they do a really nice job. They do a lot of talk about fundraising, and they can't really fundraise, so they rely a lot on the lotto funding, and then they disperse it across all grades to ensure students get like access to more books, maybe a little bit of swag, things like that. But great group. They're very excited about the fact that school can keep growing, and they really like that, and they think they're glad they made the choice. It was really surprising to see how many parents are in their 8th year with kids and stuff like that. So, and they really appreciate the freedom they have in doing that. So it was good. And Gordon, I'll let you do Colville. Thank you.
So I attended Colville. spent a lot of time walking through the why Collettville was named, as well as Central, and the process that we went through on that, and then answered quite a few questions around that and capacity in the different schools. There was 18 people at the meeting. I think it went well. Think we heard we only lost one student with the school bus with or walk limits, which was good to hear that parents have found a way to make that work. And so went through all those information sheets we have, so the parents all have that as well now. Parents they're looking for parents to join their school Facebook group for updates. There's 3 new EAs in the school. They talked about the fundraising. They do a pizza fundraiser there specifically for Eagle Bay, which is that traditional trip in June. I think it's the 10th and 12th next year, where all our grade 7s are going there. So that's actually the first time to connect together before moving on to the high school. There's also an update on their gaming grant. And the PAC also talked about putting out a call to parents to participate in fundraising, although they can't be involved. You know, some parents, because of commitment, can't be at meetings regularly, but looking at how they engage them in some of their fundraising efforts. So it was good to see that. It was good to see that many parents out. I'm not sure, John, if that's the normal number or if it was because I was coming or because we were talking school closure or all three. I'm thinking it's probably my personality. So I could.
They do try to recruit a lot of parents in September, then it might dwindle off to a steady 8 to 10, 12.
The one thing I would add, and that was nice to see, there were a lot of kindergarten parents that came, but both parents came, like both mom and dad. So that was really nice to see that they're getting involved as it goes along. Now, whether they're both going to come back to the future meetings, I'm not sure, but it was nice to see that level of involvement for people that are new to the school.
I also will add, in the notes, someone had asked, well, could there be a dual track with language? And that we don't have the capacity right now with teachers, and that is encouraging that maybe the community's ready to start thinking about that and have maybe an intercamera immersion or something like that. So it's good stuff.
And trustee
Pleasanton.
Okay, Nicola and Camford PAC, we met on September 15th. We had a good busy start to the beginning of the school year at Nicola Camford. Bert talked about how they'd done some tea picking, drying berries and smoking some fish. So I got some of that as well. And they were looking at how it possibly may be to look at some wild game smoking and stuff as well, but they were going to definitely take a deeper dive into some regulations there, so I felt better about that. Also talked about the gaming account, so they're pursuing that. I think they had all their ducks in a row there. We did have a lengthy conversation about the process of the decision of closing a school, so that was nice. I was really proud of some of the Nicola Camford parents that were actually fairly well informed. And so as we started to discuss, some of the parents actually took over and actually could speak to some of the stuff. So that was kind of gives me a temperature of where some of our community is at, right? So we did our elections, we filled all the roles. Chanel is the president again, so that was nice to see. Some of the other stuff they were looking at was some DPAC recruitment. They were looking for another representative. They're planning a couple sessions for the wildlife park. So that was really good too. And then new hockey equipment, hockey nets, all kinds of stuff going on out there. So actually they ran out of time on the meeting. They had a bunch of other stuff to go through, but they tabled all that for the next meeting. I think they were gonna try to get the book fair off the ground and executed before the next meeting, so. And then they meet again on October 20th, so. I'll talk to Bert, cause I think we have a meeting that day and at Central as well, so I'll have to balance that out, so, but yeah, lots of great stuff happening out there in Nicola Canford.
Okay, John Elson, Elementary, all positions filled for the pack. The first pack was actually outdoors with pizza and playground. Lots of parents and kids, that's kind of a neat idea to have, you know, in the fall there. Meet the teacher night and book fair was a big success as well. It was held. They did the Terry Fox run and the Orange Shirt Day and celebrations. And then I guess they had mentioned about the welcome dinner because there was a lot of kids at the welcome dinner last night. They were running around and they also helped out in the drumming ceremony with some of the kids doing drumming. So yeah, really active, and the next one's October 14th.
And benches meeting was last night. Some of the pieces, they did a open house at the school the week 2 weeks before, I think it was. And so they also had the kids put suggestions into a suggestion box to see what they would like. Books came up as a large number, so I think the PAC's thinking with the Scholastic Book Fair next week, next month, that will be a quick win that they can work on. The other one that came up under sports was the condition of their volleyball nets. The kids were, I think the technical word is they're way past their due date. And so they're looking at whether the PAC is, I think, gonna check with the sports committee we have in the district to see what those will cost. Is there a possibility, because they're a small school, they probably would never be holding tournaments there, but the kids want to practice, so there's a way that they could have nets there, but then could be used, say, at CMS when we have tournaments there. So they're thinking outside the box on how that might be done and how they might be able to do some cost sharing on that. So that was good to see. We talked about this summer, we did a up to the power grid to that school, which was probably needed for the last 40 years. And we finally got to that, which there's now enough power into the building, a whole brand new kitchen, which is really appreciated for the lunch program as well. So that was bench. They're also doing one other thing is they're raising money for guitars. So they're looking at having a guitar club to replace the band program that came out from last year. So they're currently pricing those. And looking at getting a set, and Mrs. Auden would be looking at that as a guitar club for the school. So good to see that as well. And Trustee Kent Laidlaw.
All right, so we had our first PAC meeting of the school year on 22nd of September. So we held the AGM. We actually got 3 new parents, which is really good for our high school PAC. And they've all signed up to participate in the executive. So we actually have a new president, Emily Welbeck. She's stepped up to take over for the past president, Erin Williams, who was there for a really long time. So big shout out to Erin for all the work she's done, and we look forward to having Emily there to help us out. We talked a little bit about the cafeteria situation in the high school. Right now, the regular worker is on leave, and so they have somebody else in taking over for now. So it was a little bit of a bump to get it started, but it's underway now. They're also looking at doing sort of a new system because for a complete lunch, it's $10 to $12 a day right now, and they're looking at starting up a $5 a day program. So regardless of what it is, you get a full lunch for $5. So they're looking for fundraising, and the principal asked PAC if we could possibly help out. So one of the things that the PAC is going to look at is fundraising opportunities that we can maybe help out with to help that food program get off the ground. We also Emily talked about how DPAC can give up to $350 for parent engagement. So one of the things that the PAC is going to do is cater appetizers for the PSS open house, which is on November 19th from 5 to 7. We're also going to set up a PAC table there, and I believe Emily is going to go there, and I'm going to go as well and sit with her so that we can be there to answer any questions parents have, or you know, try to rope them into joining the PAC as well. Yeah, that's pretty much the highlights. The next meeting again is on October 20th.
Trustee Jefferson.
Diamondville, I'm not sure if all of you remember, but in years past, they had a hard time getting a pack together. Their gaming grant was denied for a couple of years in a row because of financial statements. And they've had a really successful past couple of years, putting a lot of work into getting that all sorted out. So they were able to, I don't know if they got their gaming grant yet or not, but they applied for it and they're expecting to get it this year. And on top of that, with their typical attendance of 2 to 3 parents, I think at our first meeting, there was 8 parents there who all signed up to be part of the executive and other volunteer positions. So they were able to not only name their executive and worry about their financials, but start thinking about things like fundraisers and how to support grade 7 students with their year. So yeah, really positive first meeting, and I think they're all looking forward to growing as a PAC at Diamondville. So good things happening there. And at Central, still looking for more volunteers there. I think we're a little skinny with parents, but there is an executive. And at our first meeting, we had Superintendent Lawrence came and gave a presentation for any of the parents at the PAC that wanted to know more about school closure process or what's going on with the district. I think that was informational, so thank you for coming to that. I think that was well received. And Principal Maury talked about first couple of weeks of school and how much students were enjoying getting back into the swing of things, and they had a ton of activities as you saw on the report here. So Central's having a good time too. Yep.
Just on that with the PAC and gaming, making sure the PACs know that if they're having trouble with reports, to lean, in the past, we've used our financial officers here to help them with that, because I know Bench right now is sitting on provisional approval. They have another week to get some paperwork in, so government's really tightening up on those, and a lot of times if that treasurer is overwhelmed and it doesn't happen, but they don't want to say anything, and really encourage them so that those dollars do flow into them, because having a couple of years without dollars, I think we had 1 year with Paulettville where we had some issues because some of the gaming stuff hadn't gone in, and of course those parents had all dispersed because they used to be at CMS. And so just really encourage you to make sure they're aware that we can, through the district office, help them if they're, you know, a lot of times that person isn't, you know, they get roped into the job. Well, it's only about 6 checks you write a year, you'll be fine. And then they get to the year end and they have to do this government report. We're used to doing reports. PACs aren't always, so just maybe remind them when they get to June if that's a struggle to ask.
JB, was that November 19th?
For the PSS meetings, open house, yeah, November 19th from 5 to 7. And the copper pit will be catered. Well, we hope the copper, sure, I shouldn't say that. We hope the copper pit will be catered. That's gonna be the answer.
And for other reports, I did have a meeting with the Mr. earlier in the week, and it was embargoed until, I think it was yesterday when the announcement was made on changes to the school act. They look like minor things because it's just 3 lines in the school act that's being changed, but what it's allowing is more support of early learning and offering childcare services to children of all ages from infants through school age, from 0 to 5. The act before was very prescriptive, and so you couldn't have you know, we did some stuff at Diamondville to get a, you know, to test out some things. The other piece was you couldn't run childcare on non-instructional days. You couldn't run it on weekends. You couldn't run it in the summer. Those changes to the act will mean if it is in a school, they can run it throughout the school year.
That's great.
It also opens it up for all schools, if they're so inclined. So some districts are now looking where, in working with the Teachers Federation, that teacher's classroom is going to be available after school for after school care. So really good to have the Teachers Federation on board with that, on how that can work. And I say it's just 3 line changes in the School Act, but it was really hampering boards and communities where all of a sudden there's a Pro D day and you're going, oh, but the daycare is closed because there's no school in on that session. And also allows for those centers to be open on through winter break and spring break. So it was great to see that and we've been pushing on that for several years, and so to finally see those 3 little changes in the legislation. Now, the interesting part will be how they talk with our STs, because we also talked about there's probably going to be some dollars that are going to be needed, and what they said is regional renovations. They'll approve, but we just need to find out what that looks like and what's considered reasonable. And but it was good to see that those changes coming for families in BC, and which means, you know, every school in the province, if they're so inclined, now has the ability to offer those services, which can be a game changer in a lot of communities. Remember when we did it at Diamondvale as a pilot, and we said, well, can we include kids from other schools? And they said, no. Oh, now it's like, if there is something where we have, and the other piece is EAs can do those jobs, so they don't necessarily have to have their ECE. They're making a change there for the before and after school care because they're school age. And so that again can take EAs who are 5 hours a day to whole positions of 7 hours a day. And so that's another piece there that I think is good. So that is my conversation with the minister, and the legislation's come out, and now we just need to have the legislation passed. We have one item of correspondence. I think Trustee Jepson, you wanted to talk to it.
Sure. I'm not sure how many of you are familiar with Tumbleweed, what's it called? Preschool? Tumbleweed Preschool? It's been around for over 30 years, at least, because I know I went there when I was a kid. So there's a non-for-profit preschool, and I think they offer programming for kids aged 3 and 4, 2 years before they go to kindergarten. So they approached me looking for support from the board by way of a letter to help with their application for a gaming grant to help fund their program. So I wanted to bring it before everyone to see if there was support or interest to write a letter of support for them in their search for funding from government.
And I think you all saw the draft letter. And they sit on the CMS property. That's actually where their ATCO building is. So if you wanted to make that as a motion.
Yeah, so I'll make a motion to write a letter of support and provide it to Tumbleweed Preschool.
Second by Trustee Chenoweth. Anyone opposed? Carried. So we can
Good job.
get that email piece to the board office, and I can sign that off on your behalf. Public question period. So then I will entertain a motion to adjourn. I think that was moved by Trustee Jepson. Bidding on something at an auction. We are adjourned.
Thank you, Gordon.
Thank you.
Really nice ceremony.